Alright, it is the morning of surgery. Just wearing normal joggers and a shirt. Surgery's at 7:45 this morning. We're operating on this shoulder here. So just got out of the shower with the antibacterial soap. So feeling clean, feeling ready to go. See you guys in a little bit. So this is the morning of my surgery. Surgery time is 7:45. So my parents take me to the hospital at 7:30ish. I check in, and they bring me back there at 7:45, and I basically sit in this little waiting room, this little bed for the next 3 hours as they monitor all my heart and basically go through each patient in front of me. And I'm effectively the last patient of the day. They do that because they didn't know really how bad and severe my tears are, so they wanted to give as much time as possible to me as they can. That's about 2 or 3 hours of sitting there. The anesthesiologist comes in and he gives me a nerve block into my left shoulder, as they can't do that under anesthesia. So they do the nerve block, and about an hour later they take me back to go under anesthesia and start surgery. I go into surgical room and I'm immediately out. They put the anesthesia on and I can't remember counting. I can't remember anything that they told me from the time I get into surgery room until essentially I get home. So once they started surgery, they looked at my arm. They went into orthoscopically with a camera to see kind of what they're looking at, and they saw that the tears were pretty significant and more significant than what they initially thought. So what they had planned for was like a 2-hour surgery, ended up being a little over almost 3.5 hours. We originally planned to do like a bovine graft on the rotator cuff, but it was too far gone at that point where the bovine graft would not have helped. And so they had a full repair on the rotator cuff, the supraspinatus high-grade tear. And then they had to do the bicep reattachment and the labral repair as well. All in all, there are 7 anchors now in my shoulder, 4 in the rotator cuff and 3 in the labrum, which are the high ends, if not the highest ends for these kinds of surgeries. So after surgery, I wake up in the recovery room and essentially they just hold me there for about an hour or so until I get back to some kind of consciousness where I feel like I can sit up and go home safely. So here's a list of medicines that they've given me. Some of them are for pain, some of them are to help with anesthesia, the side effects there, and some of them are for just general stuff with the shoulder that affects from anesthesia and from surgery itself. Funnily enough, that first night around 4 o'clock or so, the nerve block wears off and then the pain medicine wears off. And so what the pain medicine is supposed to be is every 4 hours. I had taken the last one around 10 o'clock. And so this is now 6 hours without pain medication and the nerve block switches off. And so I'm in the most pain that I've felt in a long time with my shoulder. I'm just sitting there in this little recliner. And that's probably the worst of it. That was probably the worst pain that I've felt in a really long time. But thankfully, we got through that pretty easily. The Tramadol or whatever allowed me to essentially get through the pain without feeling like I'm under any kind of opioids or high on any drugs, which is super helpful. So I stayed at my parents' house for the next probably 3 days. Surgery's on Monday. I stayed there Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And by Thursday, I'm like, all right, I feel like I need to go home, start trying to do this stuff by myself, start trying to be kind of on my own, as the most of my recovery is going to be alone. Showering is kind of non-existent right now, especially because I can't take this sling off for a little while. So using these sanitary wipes, you heat it up in the microwave and basically do like a full body kind of wipe down. So we're now 5 days post-op. I want to show you guys what a normal day probably is going to look like, from getting up where I sleep to showering to getting ready and doing kind of normal PT at home, into what kind of a basic day looks like. So let's get into it. So this is where I'm sleeping right now. Typically they say to sleep in like a recliner, but I don't have a recliner here. All of my furniture looks like this. which is not super ergonomical for sleeping. So I have this little bed here that's like a beanbag chair. So essentially I sit here, head's on one side, arm is propped up by the pillow here, my feet kind of go here. I put my computer / a TV stand basically right here, and then my phone and stuff sits on that chair there. Very not comfortable, but it does the job for the time being. I'm looking to get 5 to 6 hours of sleep at night, so this does the job. Here are those sanitary wipes that I'm using for bathing. So a couple options here. We have those dude wipes, and then the bathing wipes here. We can put those in the microwave to warm them up a little bit, and then we wipe down our body. All right, so we're gonna do basically the only PT I can do at home by myself, which is, they call it the pendulum swing, where I take this sling off, kind of leave it over a surface here, and just allow my arm to dangle and let gravity kind of do its work as it pulls kind of my arm into socket, into place. And after I do that, I'm gonna try to slip on a shirt that is not one of those snap shirts, so like a button up. So I'm gonna try to slip it on, wear it, and then have that as my shirt for the day. So let's see how it goes. Okay, first thing to do is to kind of unhook all of this stuff here. I'm gonna set this down kind of here. Allow my arm to brace. And then I'm just gonna lean forward, let my left arm just kind of dangle here, not using my left arm for anything other than just letting gravity kind of work. So as you can tell, it's not fully straight yet. As I was trying to stand up, my arm is gonna kind of move slightly into position here. That's awesome. As I'm doing that, I'm gonna try to put my shirt on. Ooh, that's awesome. Sweet. And then I'm going to put my sling back on. It's been about a minute. I'm gonna move my arm up. Grab that red ball and just reattach all of the stuff. All right, so the last kind of PT thing that I'll do today is this ice machine. So that's what this thing is. So we're gonna put this on, kind of strap around my shoulder here, and then we'll sit and kind of watch some TV for about an hour to hour and a half and allow this to really work, and then I'll get my day started. It's 10:30 now, so looking at somewhere around noon, we'll get into actual some work here. So let's get into putting this on. As many of the things I'm doing now, it's a bit more cumbersome because I'm having to do it kind of all by myself. It was easier when I was with my parents because they could help me kind of strap things on and do things in a timely manner. Now I'm just essentially adding in about another 1 to 5 minutes per thing that I do, which adds up throughout the day. So 1 to 5 minutes for every single task. You're looking at an additional roughly 30 minutes to an hour for pretty much everything. That's putting shoes on, brushing your teeth, adding in PT, things like that. But you get used to it and you get accustomed to a system that works pretty well. And now it's your quote unquote new normal. So I'm gonna turn this on and then we're gonna sit here for about an hour or so. And we'll just let the ice do its work. So I have it strapped up to the shoulder for the rotator cuff and the labrum, and then the band around the arm is really for my bicep, as that is where I'm feeling a lot of pain as of late. So getting some ice on that just allows it to kind of heal and cool down as we get into therapy and into normal life.